Hi, I'm Amy from the BEDSSU elections team, and I'm just going to run you through this quick video on how to complete your manifesto for this year's student elections. I'm going to be explaining what a manifesto is, guide you through the questions that you will be asked, provide some top tips, and warn you about some common mistakes that people use. So, what is a manifesto? This is your chance to give your sales pitch. This is you selling yourself to voters. Why should they vote for you? You're going to get the opportunity to say what makes you best person for the role. What skills and experience are you bringing to the table and that voters should be voting for? What do you hope to do for students if elected? Now, you can actually be held to account for this. Voters can come back the next year and say, hey, I voted for you to do this. Why hasn't that happened? So focus on the outcome and try not to make any empty promises when you go through this. Now, for the Student Elections 2022, you will be asked 3 quick questions. They're designed to be specific and targeted, and they're meant to be short to keep voters interested. So you'll only have 150 words to answer each of the following questions. It's going to look a lot like a job application when you go through the process, but I do urge you to avoid cramming too much into those 150 words. You're going to have loads of opportunities to talk to voters about what you bring to the table. So try not to put too much into these and make it as neat and as targeted as possible. I also recommend that you avoid referencing previous answers because we do lift out some of your answers to use in different bits of publicity, such as this example here. We might take out everyone's answer to question 1 and compare them next to each other so that voters can see what's going on there. So avoid using phrases like, as I said before, or saying read on to find out more, because they might not be displayed as question 1, 2, and 3 when the voters look at them. My final big point here before we move on to the questions is do not miss the deadline. You must have completed your application form, including all 3 of these questions before the deadline. Late applications cannot be accepted. That is one of our golden rules in our election. So if you need help or if you're worried about accessing the website or anything, please make sure that you seek help long in advance. You can use our generic address help@bedssu.co.uk to reach out to us. But please make sure you don't leave it until the day of the deadline or even the day before. For this year, the deadline that you're looking at is 9th of February 2022, and that is at 4 p.m. If you message us at 4:01 p.m, we cannot accept your application. So please ensure that you meet that deadline. So your 3 questions that you will have 150 words for each of these are as follows. What motivated you to apply for the role? What experience or skills do you have which you will put to good use in the role? And if you could achieve one change for students during your time in the role, what would it be and why? So just 150 words on each of those. So you're going to have to keep it succinct. If we look at each of those questions in turn, so what motivated you to apply for the role? This is likely to be quite familiar to people. If you've applied for jobs and things, you'll often be asked about your motivation. And we like this question because it lets the voters know a little bit about you as a person. You can talk about your passion, talk about why you're getting involved in this. You know, what element of this role is going to be the bit that gets you out of bed in the morning to be achieving things for students. We do say that you should avoid copying and pasting from somewhere else. That sounds really silly, but it happens every year. Somebody will just go online and copy and paste an answer. Guess what? Voters can also go online and Google your response to see if you've copied it from somewhere else. So do try and be original and give something about yourself to the voters. Question 2, what experience or skills do you have which you will put to good use in this role? We encourage you to brag a little bit here. This is where you get to say, well, I'm excellent at this. And make sure that you show that you know what's going to be required of you in that role. There's no point saying you're excellent at golf if there's no golf involved in this role. So I'd say have a look at the job descriptions for clues about what it is you're going to need to be good at to make this happen. And I really encourage you to think about life outside of the University of Bedfordshire as well, what skills and experiences you have there. If you've got a family of 6 at home, you're probably much better at scheduling and time management than I am. So make sure you pop it down and that you're talking about your full rounded experiences and skills that your life has. I would avoid a big list of buzzwords. It's very easy to say, oh, teamwork, motivational, leader, without any justification, and it just doesn't read well to voters. They're going, well, prove it. How can you prove it? you'd be better off listing a couple of skills and experiences with a little bit of an example as to how you're going to use that, why that makes you useful for this job. Please don't lie. Please don't say that you've run 5 different businesses if Google could prove you wrong. Students will go away and look into the candidates that they're voting for. And if you can be proven wrong by Google, somebody will find that. So please don't lie on this one. Just be honest. Question 3, if you could achieve one change for students during your time in the role, what would it be and why? Now, this is potentially the most important of the questions because this is something that voters will hold you to account on. You will go to question the exec sessions throughout the year if you're successful, and people will say, where are you at with your manifesto? That one change you promised me, how much progress have you made? So it's important that you think big because you want it to look good to voters, but also that you're realistic. There's no point saying I'm going to have a shuttle bus to each and every campus if actually your research suggests that that is never going to happen because they're all quite well placed on train lines. So maybe look into the realistic side of things, and you can contact us at the union to sort of ask about what's happened in the past if that would be helpful to your research. I'd suggest you focus on the outcome. What is the change that students are going to see at the end of it? It might take you 2 weeks, it might take you 2 months, it might take you a full year to get there, but what will the success look like at the end? That's the bit the students are really interested in. Unfortunately, they don't care about the bit in the middle, they care about that big thing at the end. So what does that look like? And consider who it's going to benefit. Is it actually going to benefit all students, or is it going to benefit a small subgroup of students? Now, there's no harm in its benefiting just a small subgroup of students. And actually, you might choose to be really open and honest about that and say, this is targeted at Bedford students, or this actually will work best for students on placements. That's an important group of voters that might be interested to hear that you care about their experience in that way. On the other side of that, I'd avoid big sweeping statements like, I want to improve life for everyone at Beds. It's really difficult to find one thing that will improve life for absolutely everybody, because you'll find one group of students that's happy with a scenario that other students aren't happy with. So don't make us promise that you can't keep in that respect. Again, I'd avoid copying and pasting from somewhere else. Every year we get somebody who will copy and paste somebody else's promise from another union, and they can be found out and it's quite embarrassing. So we do recommend that you try and come up with your own idea here. Again, it could be for just a small group of students, so feel free to put down one that maybe works for students on your course or students like you. Just be open and honest about who that's going to benefit. So that's a quick run through of the questions that you're going to be asked as part of this application. And we hope you've got some tips there on how to answer them. But if you do have any further questions, you can join us at one of our online drop-ins. All the information will be on our website, so just drop by there to find out more. Or if you email us, we can get those details over to you as well. Once again, our email is help@bedssu.co.uk. Hope you find this helpful, and I look forward to meeting you all in the future.